Well, game 2, let's see if Cyclone can put on a clinic again. The picks and bans are ready. We'll see who's going to be first pick. It will be Cyclone one more time. So from their point of view, I think we'll go the same sort of route, right?
They have nothing to worry about to change. If they want to throw more of a spin onto Dignitas, maybe they'll first pick something other than Anhur, which is funny to actually even say.
It is funny. Well, Wukong off the table. They also banned, I believe, Nemesis alongside this one, which meant Dignitas banned away the Susano. That were the bans from game 1. And it looks like we're going to see a salty run back so far in terms of the bans.
Nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary, just the same typical bans. Now,
yep.
If it's going to be the same, then this should be the Anhur for the VoteNBK. He found the solo kill. There was nothing wrong with it. Going to pick it up yet again. And I like the style and mentality from Cyclone. It's up to Dignitas to change their mentality heading into the second game.
And they picked Ymir at the very start of this pick phase last time round. This time they're going to opt for the Bacchus, take that one away from Callus. Sorry, not from Callus. From... And my mind's gone blank. From...
It is Callus.
Yeah, Callus.
Yeah, it is Callus.
Right. I thought I got it wrong. From Callus this time, and they don't want to give this time. And then also to the Raijin too. Very smart.
Yeah, electing to switch it from the Ymir and the Fenrir to the Bacchus and the Raijin. So they have better initiation, I would say, for their support. Because whenever you have to put a blink on a Guardian support, it means you have less teamfight utility, whether it's a shell, sprint, meditation. There is no sprint or meditation from Dignitas. They had two shells.
Agreed, 2 shells. Maybe they came back to haunt him a little bit in that. Cyclone, though, going to pick up Vulcan this time around with Raijin not being available for Wlfy. He's going to go back to another god that he's picked a couple of times so far this split. He's at 2 games in it. This will be his 3rd.
I wouldn't be surprised if Thor gets locked in yet again. A great god for the pairing of Vulcan, but having Ymir available, Deathwalker probably going to lean on this Guardian yet again.
It seems the EU solo lane is really starting to like the Ymir solo all of a sudden once more. We were talking off air as well. You don't think he's as strong as he used to be because no power pot, right?
Yes, without the purple pot, it makes it less tempting to go Ymir because it scales so well off of your second ability. The scaling, I think, is somewhere around 80%.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of benefit off of that purple pot, especially with the scaling off of your passive, 100% for every in-hand. So you can find like a level 2 kill right off the bat. Even if you go, like, as troll as it may sound, you can even go Sunder or Curse on like Ymir in the solo lane and find a free first blood.
Well, we see Freya, Raijin, and Bacchus locked in. That's 3 magical, however, for the side of Dignitas. Cyclone can just focus on physical gods here for the solo lane and for the jungle. Expect them to come. They're going to ban the Fenrir, which wasn't really up to much last game, I want to say, but this game round, bit of a different story, more than likely.
It seems that Dignitas, with the next pick, they're going to have probably the jungle selection, so CycloneGG wanting to take that option away from FrostiaK. With the Fenrir ban, we're going to see what the next one is. He's known to play a little bit of Thor on top, though.
Probably a Thor ban could be an option here for them, especially with the opportunity. I mean, maybe... I think it will be a Thor ban. It has to be, right? Because you don't want to give it over to FrostiaK here. CycloneGG, they're limiting themselves in their own jungle, though.
Yeah, you don't want to have Raijin, Bacchus, and Thor on the same team composition. That 3v3 is very scary in those little mid-harpy fights. Vulcan, so far, doesn't have a... I mean, it could be Ymir Guardian, but we don't know what jungler and support quite yet for Cyclone is.
Will be Raven for the solo lane this time round to make sure they're not going to have Ducky on the Raven or the Ymir this time to have to deal with that one. So Thor does get locked in for FrostiaK. We kind of expected to see that one go that way if he got through. And now what we're going to see out the jungle from Cyclone is the real question here.
I mean, Arlong Shen is still available. That could be an option.
Where'd he go?
Where you could... So the thing about Arlong Shen is there's... It depends how you want to play. Right. There's more mobility on the side of Susanoo, Thor, a lot of flexibility. Arlong Shen, you're committing to kills. You have a root and a cripple on your pin, so you're looking for a lot of setup. Now, imagine instead of the Thor, it was an Arlong Shen. You find the pin from a distance, Bacchus can easily find a flop, and then Raijin will follow up.
This composition from Cyclone looks disgusting, though, on paper, just because of the amount of setup they've got, the amount of displacement in this composition as well. Now, with Ymir, Sobek, Vulcan, and an Awilix. Vulcan, Sobek combine very well with Awilix. On top of Anhur can even set her up for the ultimate too. But not only that, there's also the walls. We've got Ymir walls, we've got Anhur pillars, we've got turrets across the way. We do have the Thor wall, though.
The Thor wall on top. There's going to be a lot of geometry plays between these two teams, and Sun Wukong getting locked in last, trying to poke out this Guardian. Now, Thor and Sun Wukong, it seems that that could be a matchup where you can lean on this Guardian solo lane, whether or not it's Sobek or the Ymir.
And I'm expecting Ymir here. Do we see that?
I would expect an early Ymir on top because you want to have the Sobek rotate for those mid-fights to pair up with the Willish.
Completely agree. Deathwalker will be back to his Ymir for the 3rd time this Pro League so far on the nuclear Ymir this time round. Wards at the start of the game, let's see if they get placed down because we saw a bit of a ring around the roses by both these teams looking for a bit of poking and aggression if they could at the start of this one.
God, I hate that skin.
Why?
This is so ugly. I mean, like, not ugly, but it's like...
I go boom.
It's too green.
What do you mean it's too... It's nuclear. You try to say nuclear things and
I'm all about
really
the Obsidian Shard. I'm old school.
Nah,
I'm all about the Obsidian Shard.
I go boom is probably the best voice line in the game.
I mean, that's... Yeah, I guess.
I go boom. All you want to say.
I have the Ymir voice back.
You do?
I love it.
You're happy.
Every single time.
Totally happy.
Totally happy.
Couple of interesting skins coming out. As always, the Paradigm one for Awilix there as well. And I think I just saw a Fnatic one for VoteNBK on the Anhur. So Cyclone really showing off all those skins they earn from going through the Challenger Cup and earning those gems.
Well, they get more gems than I get paid, so.
That's true. Oh, don't talk about that again.
Feels bad, man.
Still going on about that one?
Well, I talked to my manager.
You got a manager?
Yeah, he can't do anything for me.
Oh, who's your manager?
It's Ymir.
Ymir sad. Ward's our place down though for Cyclone Spin. Sorry, Cyclone Spin. I want to say Cyclone Spin. Ward's place down for Cyclone here. There's 3 on the map for them, just to give them full vision, just in case Thor and Wukong want to go aggressive against this Awilix and the Ymir. I think it's pretty wise to do that, even though there's a lot of burst in the side of those two.
And looking at the Guardians, we look at their relics right off the bat. Having this Bacchus allows you the flexibility to go shell. You don't have to force yourself to go a blink engage. Now, this is going to give Dignitas a lot of options in these little 3v3 skirmishes.
And the mid lane, when you look at the 3v3 skirmish though, I'm looking at the side of Cyclone here, because a Sobek pluck into a 3 feather step into a free backfire is a hell of a lot of burst to hit onto a single target on its own.
Both these teams have to be so careful with their positioning. Freeze coming out, FrostiaK taking a little bit of poke. Has to be careful as these Fire Giant Elementals are about to respawn. I would expect Cyclone to win that.
And the race is on. Talking about the race left-hand side. A lot of pressure onto Suntouch there. Flop off the mark from Tingz. They're trying to slow VoteNBK down. But Purification was burnt from Suntouch, worried about getting impaled into the wall.
And Deathwalker finding a nice double freeze. The carpet not available to follow up. It was used to try to secure those elementals. And now going back into it, everything is still standard. Now, ShadowNightmare took a lot of poke from Wlfy, though.
He did, but at the same time, this is actually putting the mid laners ahead in terms of experience. Obviously, they've got a lot of free farm in that mid stage early on, that they don't normally get with the junglers being around.
This should be a rotation from Cyclone to go for those left side Harpies. Immediately recognizing this, Dignitas has to be careful, respects the possibility, because Cyclone, they're playing at the tower line of Dignitas, so both of these mid Harpies should go to Cyclone.
Yeah, Cyclone should be looking for the right ones here, right? Because they can have their duo lane potentially help on the lefts, but instead, it looks like they've been frozen again in the mid wave as Ducky being pressured one more time by Deathwalker on this left-hand side. Rotation is coming out from Cyclone's duo lane now for these left-hand Harpies.
And now the duo lane making the rotation. It has to be so careful is Dignitas, though. They did get spotted out by a nice MIA call going into the jungle, so both of them go into Cyclone.
You called it, Tolan. It's a really smart play from them as well. Exploit the early game advantages you've got, really put the pressure on the map, get yourself a nice little lead for free.
Freya in the duo lane is just too weak early on to really outpush this Anhur Sobek combination. There's a lot of kill potential between Bacchus and Freya once they hit level 5, but up until that point, this duo lane is going to Cyclone.
Well, level 5 for Deathwalker here on this right side, as is Ducky right now, and Ducky gonna poke down the Ymir, as you'd expect, as Ymir walks away.
This is a very easy matchup for Wukong up until the Ymir hits level 7 or 9. That's when the damage really comes online for the Ymir. So up until that point, you're just looking for the safe clear.
Is it always max glacial strikes on him, or no matter what, really?
I mean, yeah, you have to be maxing out the second ability for the clear. You do have a longer duration on your stun when you max the freeze, but you're looking for the safer clear.
Could put a lot of pressure on Tingz. If he flops, he's dead. Instead, they're actually looking for somebody else. It's the Freya they're after, who's still only level 4 right now. Suntouch unable to hit level 5 just yet. Nobody in the duo lane had, but iceicebabyy with that rotation on point gets first blood for Cyclone.
The Purification was still down after that level 2 or 3 play from earlier. Great pressure from Callus and NBK setting up the brilliant rotation from Ice.
And we mentioned this as well, Tolly. We talk about Purification being down for him. Well, Cyclone has shown how good their communication is right now, because they're clearly calling that they can go for ganks, knowing that Purification's down. It shows their comms are on point, they're communicating well. It's what you need to do against these teams.
And now with Suntouch only level 4, he's going to be behind quite heavily. This is going to allow NBK to maybe look for more aggressive plays in the compared to the first game.
Completely agree. On top of that as well, with having a Transcendence already stacking at 3 minutes in because of the first blood, that's a big power shift in that duo lane, so Suntouch gonna have to be very respectful over there on the Freya. He's got good escapability for the most part, but he's still not gonna be an easy task.
Once he does hit level 5, and on top of this Transcendence, it's on Anhur, who scales so well with the physical power, being able to spam those abilities. He's just gonna throw out impales at Suntouch every single time just to keep getting him lower and chipped away.
Well, Suntouch here and Dignitas showing their experience, actually allowing Suntouch to soak every single bit of experience they could in the jungle there. He got every single one of those camps, gets back to lane again, and he's already level 5, so when he walks in, he doesn't have to panic too much about the all-in potential from Cyclone again.
I would have liked to see Suntouch last hit this wave or not even clear the wave at all, just to be able to deny any sort of gold or experience to Cyclone. You want to try to... This is a small way you can get back into the game if you're behind.
And I think he's just noticed that now just a little bit too late. He thought about what you were saying there. Oh, I should probably froze this wave. Well, next one coming through, see if he can. But iceicebabyy is back at it again with the camp of Suntouch. And he's going to swing around the back. There is no ward down here. Suntouch is under pressure. And he's going to notice it now. Going to get a good banish off. Purification is available this time now. Just a little bit more difficult to gank this Freya.
Nice awareness from Suntouch. He knows that he's the prime target from Cyclone. You're a Freya in the early game. You don't have boots finish. You don't have Fatalis. And even respecting the fact that right off the bat, this is what VoteNBK was doing. He was freezing the wave, but now the fact that Suntouch back, he's just going to make a rotation possibly.
And left on harpies now because of that. We'll definitely go the way of Cyclone. The right one's already been dropped here. Both solo lanes are looking at rotating around the map, but going to go back to farm up a little bit more. And as usual, Cyclone kind of waiting around corners here, looking for a little bit of a cheeky pick.
And with Suntouch being left alone on the left, BigManTingz really needs to set something up for the combination of this Thor and Raijin, but it doesn't seem Dignitas are really wanting to do that.
There's going to be a Gold Fury start here by Cyclone instead, and the burst is going to be very heavy with turrets added in and Vulcan ultimates on top of it. Cyclones get a free Gold Fury for nothing.
That's insane. A 5-minute Gold Fury. All of Dignitas, they went towards those back left harpies. They got spotted out, but at least they're going to find Ice in return. But can they invade anything? All the buffs are down.
No, they're going to go into the jungle and try and find out. Speed buff is down the right-hand side for a little while there. They can't pressure mid lane. There's 2 members are there to defend, so they're going to pick overall. And there's a bit surprising iceicebabyy went down there as well. I think Ice could have just got out of that if he wanted to, but just hung around too long.
Well, the purification was used by Ice, so that could be another kill for Dignitas. They have to try to look for ways to extend any advantages they have. So that 130-second cooldown on Ice has to be exploited by Dignitas.
A little bit of a quicker pace of this one, totally, compared to last game. I mean, we saw a bit of a farm off between the two, a bit of burst of activity from Cyclone and then back to normal. But this time round, started off a bit quicker.
And I don't think the Gold Fury was started up until the 15-minute mark for Cyclone in the first game. So right off the bat, recognizing the mispositioning from Dignitas, the fact that Suntouch had to back earlier on, the fact that they have all these burst damage ultimates. Callus even holding on to Lurk in the water because they had the Vulcan and the Anhur.
And Callus not going to be definitely on the front line for most of this game, looking for the plugs to try and set up the Awilix if they can, and just keep an eye on the Awilix's ultimate, because every time it's available, expect for some pressure.
And invading the speed buff Cyclone, they're so confident the fact that there was not that many ultimates, and now using his ultimate is a Wukong.
Committed a little bit heavily onto some Wukong. They're going to get answered back by FrostiaK's double tap onto Callus, who's very low. A little bit worried about the rotations coming out. The clone going to chase down from Ducky down to Deathwalker to give him a bit more vision in the jungle. FrostiaK's ultimate is on cooldown now, but they're looking at the speed themselves.
It just came back up though, so now the speed buff going to get contested on in the mid lane. However, ShadowNightmare forced to use Purification, trying to save him, but NBK was still immune during his ultimate.
And great return damage from Wlfy down to FrostiaK to allow VoteNBK to escape. Suntouch, though, on the left-hand side will push into the tier 1 tower and look towards the red buff that was stolen away from VoteNBK on his side of the map, trying to answer that back himself, but, well, he meets the lion.
And just like that, one Impale forces the Purification immediately 2 levels behind. I like the mindset that Suntouch had trying to go into the jungle so you can find the Whoop onto NBK, delay him from coming back into the wave. But without that Purification, he's going to take a lot of damage.
And he does get the ultimate down, but FrostiaK's here too, so he's going to juke out all these abilities and wait for the help of Sobek. Sobek with no meditate means VoteNBK is going to keep on running, keep on trucking, and hope for reinforcements. And guess what? The reinforcements have arrived.
And Wlfy finding the kill onto Thor. Suntouch dying to Wlfy yet again. So that's 2 for this Vulcan. And another aggressive rotation. Ice looking for the kill onto ShadowNightmare. Going to be able to jump over the wall. Knockup is still available, but doesn't want to take too much return poke.
Yeah, they all actually forced there from ShadowNightmare as well. Luckily, that wall just off the mark there from Deathwalker wasn't going to be able to find it. But again, 2 quick picks over in the duo lane. And it was all really VoteNBK versus Suntouch that started.
That's all you really have to do. Focus the Freya. You don't want to face a mid to late game Freya. You have to shut her down early. And this is exactly what Cyclone is doing brilliantly. And now NBK, he's looking for the aggressive plays. And he's relying on his team also to find the counter rotations in case FrostiaK is around the corner.
I would not mention it. Let's go to the graphs and just see the difference in this game. We saw after the first Gold Fury, but the spikes are continuing upward trend in favor of Cyclone again. These rotations from Ice are actually making a real impact now.
And that's what he needs to do. Just keep looking for the aggressive plays. He doesn't even care if he gets poked out by Wukong because his damage, as long as he commits to anybody at this stage, he'll be able to outpoke them.
Oh, Bacchus is here, but the flop just off the mark. A little bit mistimed away from the lead from VoteNBK there. So in the end, the gank fails on the left-hand side. But I do like the pressure they're trying to put back on Anhur here.
They're just trying to force out a Purification because the Freya without Fatalis doesn't have much kill potential, especially without her ultimate to follow up. That's why BigManTingz didn't want to commit without Intoxicate.
I think that's a big thing here. Get Suntouch to safely continue farming. Fatality's is about to come up as well. Be a bit more of a power spike for him to survive.
But at the same time, if you're going to rotate over, hold that thought, FrostiaK going to be able to get taken down immediately by Wlfy. Great setup by Callus.
The knock-up juggles, that's what it was. With the purification being down was just too brutal. They got a free kill.
So something I was about to mention in the duel lane, even though you're trying to set up Suntouch to alleviate some pressure, you're sharing experience by rotating BigManTingz there, which now forces NBK a 2-level gap as Suntouch just hits level 10.
Speed buff invaded by Cyclone. Now 4 members on this side of the map able to come and take this one down. No response from Dignitas whatsoever. Dignitas do not look their usual selves right now. They didn't really against the boys of Energy either, family known as Panthera. But look at this on the left-hand side. VoteNBK pressured again, forced to leap out, but does a good job 2v1.
But look at the counter rotation from Cyclone. Speed buff onto Ice. They're going to look for the red buff invade. Wlfy positioned here as well. There's not much contention from Dignitas. They cannot fight here.
Yeah, just sat back really. Dignitas just accepting the loss for the time being in terms of these objectives, and the next objective I'm going to talk about here is the Gold Fury, 10 seconds away. They definitely have to fight over this one, Toli.
And this is why Cyclone are positioned around the aggressive jungle side from Dignitas. They want to look for poke or a kill, maybe forcing somebody to back to allow them for an easy Gold Fury. Wlfy's ultimate is down, so they don't have that burst, but this Anhur and Sobek should be enough.
Nobody's in position really for this. Freya's going to be the first one here in Suntouch. Maybe have to get a banish off. Going to use the ultimate and try and force this out. They're still holding it though. Gold Fury goes the way of Cyclone. FrostiaK crashes in as well, looking for the cleanup of Callus. 1 for 0 exchange in the Gold Fury. The banish, however, going to put iceicebabyy in an awkward spot. They're going to try and run him down in the jungle. Suku looking for an escape exit. Over the wall he goes. Double tap not available for FrostiaK.
He's going to try to get dove in by Ducky, having the speed buff to try to juke as long as possible. You can't really juke that out. Taken to the sky just for the regen. Give Suntouch the kill. Dignitas still playing aggressive though. In the back left harpy, ShadowNightmare was looking for a kill, but going to get the back lefts instead.
On top of that though, Suntouch got that kill on the left hand side. Very important to allow him to catch up a little bit. Bit surprised by Deathwalker there. Deathwalker on the right hand side. Didn't invade the jungle, only just started it now. Didn't even push in the lane just yet. And then, you know, we saw the rotation from Ducky come out. He still had teleport up. He could have come. Instead, he didn't really do anything.
Maybe his teleport was down at that point,
Possibly,
so
yeah.
he couldn't make the rotation just now coming back online. So at this point, a Ymir against 3 members on the left-hand side, not really worth trying to contest, especially when you can get a tier 1 right on your own and plus an additional blue buff.
Yeah, I agreed. I just felt like he could have pushed that a little bit harder on the right hand side. Didn't really see where he was though. Maybe he was in base, like you said. We'll find out. But for now, good little answer back from Dignitas from the Gold Fury. But the Gold Fury still went the way of Cyclone for free.
Which was really risky though, because we saw Freya go into the ultimate form. I would have liked to see, however, Suntouch use the whoop just to force the reset of the Gold Fury, because if they're whooped into the sky, the interaction with Gold Fury will force a reset if no one else has aggro.
I'm pulling the mid lane onto ShadowNightmare. Ult for purification used there, so ShadowNightmare will escape for now, but he's got to be careful next time around. But he's working on the Warlock Sash again as the Raijin, so a little bit more survivability there. Is Wlfy we're tuning in with here. More than likely Book of Thoth coming up next.
We still haven't seen this 3v3 action from Dignitas between this Bacchus, Raijin, Thor. You have a lot of safe opportunities with the Thor wall, setting up the Raijin damage. Bacchus can follow up on top, but it just seems that Cyclone have been too aggressive for Dignitas to really handle.
I agree. I feel like Tingz and FrostiaK just don't seem to be synergizing just yet. That's what it kind of looks like at the start of the season so far. I've not really seen enough synergy out of the two of them together, combining to really set up a lot for the team.
Well, I would say it's really easy to play aggressive, but it's a lot harder to play defensively. And into the skies, FrostiaK looking for somebody out of position, not really in range to land on Wlfy though.
VoteNBK mid could be an option, but instead he'll go to his speed buff, make sure he secures that for himself in the jungle. Kills are relatively even, gold lead still in favor of Cyclone.
Both hunters making their rotation, Suntouch grabbing the mid wave, and this could allow Cyclone to find the kill, but a nice stun and a whoop preventing Ice from finding the engage.
BigManTingz under pressure there, knocked up twice. Feather steps on as well. BigManTingz will flop away with the Intoxicate. The drums from Shadow on point. The Thunder crashes in too. ShadowNightmare gets to the backside to draw attention, allowing Suntouch to pick up one. Looking at the waters coming out from Callus' zone and back a bit more, but Ducky doesn't care. Neither does FrostiaK. He's going to clean up one. Turn his attention now towards VoteNBK as in the jungle. Well, Callus did a good job zoning, but he's still going to fall down.
Cyclone was just in an awkward position, getting hit from different angles, overcommitted too hard onto BigManTingz. We saw the same thing from the last game where Callus was the prime target, but nice cleanup from Wlfy. I did not think that backfire would have got the kill, but red buff level 14 Vulcan having a lot of damage, securing the kill, so at least finding one.
everybody underestimates the damage of that backfire, and it really came through for Wlfy there just to answer back a little bit to that skirmish. But as you said, it was all Cyclone that were overextended there. They were the ones making a rotation through the jungle and got picked for it.
They tried to look for the aggressive play. We had a nice stun from FrostiaK, and like we mentioned before, the first game, it was Callus on the Bacchus that kept forcing the engage from Dignitas. It absorbed a lot of cooldowns, and that's exactly what happened this time around. BigManTingz was absorbing all the cooldowns from Cyclone.
Like the call from VoteNBK there on the left-hand side, you just saw him on the Anhur, just freezing the lane over and over again, make your Suntouch either overextend or force him back to base. Pick one, and make sure he limits as much of the experience he can find.
And now with Suntouch being level 13, he's in a good spot to start joining these team fights, being very aggressive, having the Pulse and Irradiate maxed out. This is where Freya starts going on the power curve.
Bit of aggression in mid lane going on here as Callus being forced to defend on his own at the moment, but Wlfy's on his way back now, maybe able to look for some pressure here, but FrostiaK recognizing the angle that he was in there, could have been pressured, forced to hammer.
And Callus used an in-hand in frustration, be like, missed it.
Curses.
Missed an opportunity.
Curses. Curses. Right inside, Harpy's about to spawn, and it's going to go the way of iceicebabyy and Cyclone one more time. As now we've seen a bit of a group up coming out from Cyclone towards mid lane here. They were thinking about collapsing for a second or two. Instead, they're just going to head back to farming once more.
Deathwalker was thinking about making the rotation in mid. Spots out Ducky, doing his own blue, just going to keep on farming the solo lane. These warrior/guardians, you want to be impactful in the mid to late game, having your late game items just to control the space of a team fight.
Yeah, it's going to cause a lot of issues for Dignitas with all these walls coming through, the amount of CC that the side of Cyclone have, especially knockups too. You've got to pre-purify those if you want to actually get away from them.
It's going to be very difficult because now Wlfy, if ShadowNightmare, he's going to force to use Thunder Crash defensively. Suntouch has to be careful with his positioning. If he gets walled off, forced to use an ultimate.
Wlfy respawned again, and Cyclone, they got the last two in a row. Dignitas contested the last one, just weren't able to find it. And this time around, Cyclone going to clear out the wards here. Not going to start it up just yet, though. They're looking for trying to pick somebody on the way through the jungle.
But a nice little ward inside the left side mid-Harpies by Dignitas spots out the aggression from Cyclone.
Suntouch did just use his banish there and got answered back by a big old backfire from Wlfy that just took 25% of his health at least. So ShadowNightmare is the next up on Dignitas to watch and see what's going on at the Wlfy, and even Ducky now made the rotation as well.
There's going to be a 5-on-4 because Suntouch just back to base, and now Deathwalker coming back from his own. It's going to be dependent on if Callus or if BigManTingz finds the initial pluck.
See if they can go for that pluck as well in the mid lane, because obviously Suntouch, like we said, went back to base there, so all Dignitas want to do, make sure they're not doing Wlfy and wait for the next fight. But both teams now grouped up towards mid, slightly to the left-hand side is Anhur now starting the Wlfy again.
Suntouch went towards speed buff, and immediately Cyclone going to start up the Fury. They have a Ymir wall, which is a great zoning tool. Nice double freeze.
And there's the Desert Fury straight away, no hesitation. Focus really down to BigManTingz on the Bacchus as FrostiaK goes to the backline there, looking for pressure onto the Vulcan. Wall and double tap on Wlfy, and Wlfy still being focused by the Freya over the wall as well. The knockups are buying time though to allow Cyclone back into it for a moment, and FrostiaK is the first man down.
And now with Intoxic, it's going to force out NBK back under the tier 1 tower. Ducky is going to survive with a nice aggression from ShadowNightmare. Carpet not on the mark. With that one kill from Cyclone, they could reset as Wlfy comes back from base.
Interesting play from both teams there. Dignitas really looking for the Vulcan, take him out of the equation as quick as possible, but Wlfy on his own there on the Vulcan managed to juke it out very nicely and get a lot of support from his team who peeled for him.
It's only a level 12 Thor with Void Shield. Didn't have Jotun's Wrath quite finished, so doesn't have that initial burst damage to find Wlfy down right off the bat. It's very dependent on Dignitas being able to collapse on one target, but it was a great double freeze collapsing onto Ducky and BigManTingz. Without those two frontliners, Dignitas, they can't really zone out these squishies.
Well, Wlfy doing a good job. 4 of the kills so far this game, involved of 5 of them with that 1 assist to his name as well. On top of the play damage as well, a lot of people talking about how good Wlfy has been in the past because he's been around the scene for a long time, but he's now starting to step into the mid lane with the big boys.
Deathwalker still has ultimate. It's very easy for him to confirm it. This is what I was talking about.
Vanish.
You find the whoop just to reset the Fury. Now Deathwalker looking for a potential wall, not going to find it onto Suntouch. Fury still leashed. Deathwalker still with his ultimate. He needs to channel it so he doesn't get whooped again though.
Fury reset one more time. Callus off the mark with a charge though, and that's going to put him in an awkward spot. Flopped on, but cancelled out by iceicebabyy. Still though, Callus very low. FrostiaK in the sky. ShadowNightmare gets got him. Wlfy, though, on the backside is being focused down this time by FrostiaK, credited for the kill for a double for ShadowNightmare.
They didn't have the relics available for Wlfy, and with that, it's going to be a 2-for-1 training support for support and mid laner. Now, Dignitas needs to get something off of this. They're grouped up in mid. They're going to go for tier 1 tower, but you have to kind of try to go for a slightly bigger play with the gold.
You think gold for you is more important than tier 1 here?
I would say you can honestly get both because Suntouch was coming back from base, but you need that damage, especially with Deathwalker on the right-hand side. They should be going for gold after this tier 1.
Maybe they will, and that's just like maybe going over there right now. Suntouch on his way, but they've got to be careful about VoteNBK. Looking for the angle, going very deep here. Looking for FrostiaK. Very good Berserker Barrage from him, though, to ignore the Impale, but now Vote in a bit of trouble. Ymir's back. Suntouch picks up one, and now actually Dignitas rotating the team of Cyclone.
Disengaged by FrostiaK. 2 members dead yet again from Cyclone. There's only Deathwalker and Callus here trying to survive, but a nice little stun.
He's very tanky indeed, but keeping him CC'd as much as he can. The wall's going to slow them down, but he's body blocked in the corner is the Ymir. Ymir is not happy right now. Ducky did very, very good work on the Sun Wukong to keep the Ymir in place.
And a nice little sanctuary from Suntouch getting out of that lurking in the water. There's not much kill potential onto the side of Dignitas with only 2 members from Cyclone. Finally going to go for the gold here after an additional 2 kills.
And they do have Meditate here as well, so if an ult comes through from Wlfy any second, even though it's on cooldown right now, they can still resustain back up. Actually, the Meditate already used to allow their members to go in zone.
And now level 16 onto this Freya, doing so much damage to this Gold Fury. Dignitas coming back into this slowly.
And I think it was the last 2 team fights totally more than anything else. We've seen them both times. You know, they went looking for Wlfy, and they did try and force him the first time. FrostiaK died, but then the second one, well, they actually communicated very well and managed to pick up 2.
That last team fight initiated with BigManTingz finding the stun and knock up onto Callus. He went into that team fight rather low. I think he got poked out by the Gold Fury in the previous engagement, elected not to go back and heal up, and exploited instantly by Dignitas. And the nice dive from FrostiaK onto Wlfy, whose relics were down on at the time from the previous engagement.
It seems like Cyclone this game round as well, when I'm looking at it, is like they're looking for the aggression like they did last game in their burst when they want to go for it, but Callus just not been able to find those charge praise as impactfully as he managed to initiate with his team last game.
Well, it's a lot easier for BigManTingz to set up his belly flop with a burp. So he can't get knocked up by Callus's tail flip or the Vulcan meatball. He has to get stunned out by either Deathwalker or the pluck from Callus. So a lot easier for the engage on the side of Dignitas.
Well, game's kind of evened out here, and I think one of the reasons we see that all the focus onto Wlfy this game is because he is the majority of the kills. He is the majority of the damage on Cyclone this game, and if they can take him out of the equation, well, it makes it very, very linear, very, very simple for them to bring down the rest.
Which is very easy for Dignitas to do when they have the long-range poke
the right-hand
from
side
Thor.
here. They're looking for Ymir, it seems. Thor just ulted down, but Deathwalker going to get banished by Suntouch now. Rotation from Cyclone's on the way. Deathwalker so tanky, he's against 3. The Vulcan ultimate, is it available? It is! He's only going to hit onto 1 though, and still Deathwalker stands tall. Drums from the jungle from ShadowNightmare, focusing onto Wlfy on the backside, who's looking for an escape route, but gets hit big by BigManTingz. Comes up, takes out 1 on his own.
Suntouch finding iceicebabyy. Deathwalker finding a nice return kill, however. So far, it's going to be a 3-for-1 after Deathwalker falls.
Yeah, Deathwalker definitely going to fall down here, but VoteNBK finds FrostiaK as it's going on. Oh my gosh, the wall's coming into play, but BigManTingz looking for a double kill. Bacchus the legend.
Gonna find the kill now with FrostiaK dying in the backline. He tried so hard to find additional kills, which just caught out of position without his hammer. So finding a nice return kill. It's gonna be a 3-on-2 in the favor of Dignitas, but now getting stunned out. Big man, he's not really too worried. He's rather tanky.
Very tanky, especially with only 1 level down on VoteNBK on the Anhur as well. Those kills actually helped him jump up in terms of experience. The support's doing a very good job of farming so far. But that engagement again, the right hand side, this time around Dignitas, the first time I've really seen him starting to go aggressive.
They have to be aggressive with Gold Fury being down. You have the power spike onto Suntouch. You're doing a lot of damage with the red buff onto ShadowNightmare. You have to start grouping up and utilizing your power spikes, even if it's going to be on the Ymir, especially on Ymir, who's a very immobile target.
A little bit too much invested into him, though. You saw how tanky Deathwalker was in that engagement, too. I mean, he was against 3. He survived for a full rotation of his team to turn up, and then more members of the teams all died before he died.
But the beauty of that play from Dignitas was the fact that they forced out the ultimate from Deathwalker and Wlfy, which was only hitting 1 target. It was onto Suntouch. So he was able to go into the sky, avoided one of those 2 big AoE ultimates, and they still found the kill.
Well, Dignitas looking for the tier 1 tower on the right-hand side here. Deathwalker here alone, trying to defend, going to get caught off by that wall one more time. But he's still tanking up to weather some of this storm, still needs support soon. And the pillar's actually done more harm than good for poor old Ymir. And so the tier 1 tower falls to 3. Cyclone, not in position to defend.
They committed quite a lot, but they didn't commit any ultimates or relics, which was very important to continue this push. And not going for the tier 2, they're very bold for the fire.
Well, they feel with Ymir being down here, they can really look to pressure this out. Ice will be the first one here on the Awilix, alongside Callus on the Sobek. They need to go in soon, and FrostiaK going to go into the sky looking for the stun here, but they've allowed Callus to go all the way back. They've stopped DPS, though, as they're engaging the fight instead, and already Wlfy is taken off the map. Suntouch wants VoteNBK now. Going to banish him. He's an Impale, though. Goes back to his team as another member of Cyclone falls.
You could see the eyes of Suntouch. He's like, I want my revenge onto you, NBK, as he found the whoop, and then getting called back to go into Fire Giant. Like, okay, I guess I'll get fire.
Still on zoning duty is FrostiaK here. Actually stop him doing the speed buff as well. Fire Giant finally falls the way of Dignitas there for free, and this is actually just swung completely in Dignitas' favor now.
It's all about the late game, and if you're not in position to avoid some of these important cooldowns from Dignitas getting caught out, we see the beautiful walls coming out of FrostiaK. There was nowhere for the Ymir to go, completely dissecting him to force him to go back into the Cyclone's team.
Yeah, I'm looking at the damage dealers on Dignitas here, and you can see it's all Raijin and Freya. And ShadowNightmare 2-0 and 10, very, very important in this game so far for him to have a good game. But not only that, Suntouch, you got focused very early on. You can focus a hyper carry all you want, totally, but if he gets to late game, he's still going to have an issue.
You have to play so perfectly against these hyper late game carries, such as the Raijin and the Freya. Cyclone spots out the ward from Suntouch, instantly getting countered, giving them some vision on the left-hand side just to protect this tier 2 in mid.
And the Gulf Fury is about to respawn as well, so Dignitas can continue to extend their lead now. As you can see by the graphs, if we go to them, you'll see the big difference in this game, how it was all Cyclone, up to around the 20-minute mark, I'd say, on that graph, Toli, and then it just dipped completely. Dignitas clawed their way back in.
They were able to find the necessary engagements, whether it was around the top right mid Harpies, or whether or not it was around the Gold Fury, with a nice play from Suntouch, who continued the aggression, always finding the whoops now to reset the gold, to continue onto the aggression.
And Cyclone now on the defensive here, trying to decide what they want to do against the Fire Giant. They're going to have to give up the Gold Fury here. Suntouch already started that one up on his own, got teammates in response. Does Cyclone look to defend tier 2s here, Toli, or are we looking at Phoenixes?
They're looking more at the Phoenixes. This gold is going to start getting out of hand after the Gold Fury. They could possibly try to go for the tier 2. Now, they're thinking about negating the initiation from BigManTingz with a nice pull, maybe burst him down. But if you're going to pull in BigManTingz, you're going to get intoxicated on the whole team. So maybe you want to really be patient, have iceice come from the side, look for the knock-up into the ultimate on a squishier target.
Well, this time round, maybe Cyclone could try and group as a 5-man unit, because every time so far, one of them's been picked off before these engagements. Mainly Deathwalker here on the Ymir has been focused heavily by Dignitas. If he can stay with his team, it may be a different story in these engagements with those two Guardian frontliners. But Dignitas wasting no time in chipping away at this tier 2 tower, already dropping below half health.
Nice 3-man freeze, forcing out the double purification from the squishies, but it's a better double whoop that's going to set up ShadowNightmare.
FrostiaK as well is in the sky, coming back on the backside here, looking to try and pick off some targets. Callus goes down, one frontline man. Tier 2 tower still alive for now, but iceicebabyy a different story.
And that's going to be a nice engage from iceice, but not a nice engage for NBK. Beautiful dive by Ducky, recognizing he has the tools necessary to make that play. Now, the rest of Dignitas, 5-man grouped up, still with Fire Giant. 3 members alive for Cyclone. They can't really defend this first left side Phoenix.
They're going to give up the left-hand Phoenix here. They can try and look at defending the middle Phoenix here with the respawns as well if they get to that stage. But Dignitas did a very good job at that last tier 2 tower there. They rotated through the whole team, got to the back line at the same time with FrostiaK, and it was the damage dealers that got picked off.
You have to be so careful if you're the Wlfy. You have to hold on to the ultimate and make it as efficient as possible. Nice pull onto ShadowNightmare, forcing out the Sanctuary, and this is the play that they really need to if they're going to hold on to the next Phoenix.
And that might actually slow down Dignitas' advance, that purification being down anyway there. Suntouch with a bit of a lazy bat, and then it got picked there, forced to banish to make sure Awilix couldn't find it. So instead, Dignitas got a Phoenix, got a tier 2 tower, and Cyclone hold for now.
And they still have Fire Giant for about 30 seconds. Going to have to wait for that one to come back online. And it's going to be very difficult for Cyclone to really defend this because they're down 11,000 gold and they lost their left side Phoenix. So having to defend against those fire minions, you're going to have to put probably Deathwalker there just so he can teleport in.
Well, wards are being placed by Cyclone. They're trying to clean up their own jungle and try and get a bit of control on this side. Just keep vision of where Dignitas head to next. No towers available now for Cyclone to fall back to either. So the map is much more difficult for them to push on.
And that's going to be a grouping up from Dignitas onto the Fire Giant. It's about to respawn in a minute. They want to try to find anybody out of position from Cyclone.
Just waiting around now for the Gen to respawn. Like you said, less than a minute remaining for the Gen to respawn. And Dignitas, well, the last couple of fights is where they've really started to find their feet this game as well. It's taken them a little bit longer than usual, Tully, to get a grasp of things. As
long as you're able to find the crowd control to get Suntouch the necessarily hits that he needs to, that's all you really want. You want to have FrostiaK look for these long-range stunts, having ShadowNightmare and Suntouch following up.
Suntouch a little bit far forward on his own, going to get plucked into a dangerous spot, pulled all the way in is Freya, and Freya's on very low health, but gets away for now. Vulcan ultimate heading to the backside there, only going to connect with one, but it was onto the damage of ShadowNightmare. Not enough for the kill though. Meanwhile, FrostiaK cleans up Callus, and the juggle is good for Deathwalker to keep standing.
They're still going ham. ShadowNightmare able to disengage, but Ducky's not done yet. Ice in the back, finding Suntouch though.
Against Thor as well, but it's going to get killed by ShadowNightmare a little bit more. Forced out as Ducky, keeping the other three members of Cyclone busy. Awilix and some Wukong, very big important factors in that fight.
Yeah, just too low is the rest of Dignitas having to back. Overall, it was a 1-for-1. Trading your Guardian for your Hunter, late game 20 Freya. Purification wasn't used in that team fight.
And Suntouch was the one aggressive. He stepped forward, missed the banish on the Sobek, and Sobek immediately plucked him into a dangerous spot. So in the end, Suntouch falls down because of that one. Overall, just stepping forward looking for the banish more than anything else.
He was trying to bait himself in a spot where he can use his ultimate, have the rest of his team clean up, but it wasn't that good of an idea because you have to be as healthy as possible, because if a team fight lasts for 30 seconds or so and you're still alive as a Freya, your damage, you're probably going to get 6,000 to 8,000 off that one team fight.
Well, back to the Gen we go this time round. Left-hand Phoenix is still down and fire minions pouring in, so Cyclone heading to this right-hand side here. Have to be very careful about keeping an eye out for a back door or just those fire minions on their own taking the Titan.
That's right, the fire minions are flooding into the Titan right now, and there's nobody from Cyclone there to defend. It's going to start flooding in. The left side Phoenix is going to respawn soon, but Dignitas recognizing this, they're going to force the issue.
And they're trying to poke Cyclone in and out here. They're trying to keep them baited around the Gen to allow somebody to be able to get that Titan down a little bit more. Now Deathwalker's back though, they're defending. He will have to teleport into this engagement. That's why Dignitas, well, they've already started it and he's already below half.
And FrostiaK is in the sky just for the vision. Going to land onto Wlfy. No relics available, doing a lot of damage. Still wanted to commit. Double tap on the mark, finding the last basic.
I think he realized after a while there that all the relics were on cooldown for him because he didn't do anything about that full engage. And now a 4v5 ensues. Ymir is back with the fight, but a wall again from Frosty. He started to turn up. That's a double kill for the young lad in the jungle, and he's looking towards the rest of the team.
That's what you want to do. Use the teleport to hammer. Use the geometry of your stunts to prevent them from escaping. Anhur's jump was down, pinning him against the wall. Nowhere for the rest of the team to go.
This looks like the game could be over here because 5 minions are still pointing left-hand side as well. They're going to get the left-hand Phoenix and the middle Phoenix at the same time here with Dignitas. And FrostiaK's play towards the end there on the Thor, really coming forward for his team. But overall, it was a better performance from Dignitas from game 1. They're probably looking back at game 1 going, what exactly went wrong? But game 2 was business as usual.
Just a great overall team play from Dignitas in the late game, finding the very important split.
I mean, important split, but it shouldn't have been. I don't think they would be happy with a split there against Cyclone. Cyclone are a very good team, though. I'm very, very excited about watching these guys going forward. Only week 2 in, they're putting up really good competition.
Very impressive play overall. Game 1, throughout the entirety. Game 2, unfortunately, they hit that power curve. Dignitas on the side of the Raijin and the Freya, which didn't allow Cyclone to make the same aggressive early plays that they did. Sobek and the Awilix combination in the jungle, they didn't really find that many plays.
It's a good point. I mean, they focused on touch a little bit on the left-hand side, but other than that, they didn't really find much more than that. And then when it got to the team fight stage, a lot of issues for the boys of Cyclone for game 2. So Dignitas pick up that one win this game. Suntouch, obviously in the early game of game 2, got into a lot of focus, but as the game went on, he started to find his form and actually pick up some kills for his team and get himself in the damage charts too.
Maybe it's the magical hunter side of things. Maybe he's actually not comfortable necessarily on the physical side of things, but once he gets into the late game form, he's feeling very confident with his Fatalis, just always being on the aggressive.
I think this is where we actually see some pickups in the mid lane. This was probably one of the reasons why we saw him get picked before the last Gen as well, was how much damage he was actually doing in these engagements. That's a delayed triple in the end, I believe, unless Ducky picks it up at the end of that one, because Ducky did a very good job of body blocking there, as is Suntouch of avoiding some of that damage.
And that's going to be it for the first game, or I'm sorry, the first set of the day. Just overall impressive mentality for Dignitas to come back into it after losing the first game so heavily. That goes to show that they're not deterred, you know, with such a loss. They're very seasoned and veteran.
Well, Cyclone get 2 points now because of that. Dignitas moved themselves up to 4 points as well. So it's been a pretty good time there. So for Dignitas, you know, game 1 went wrong. What was it? Any issue with game 2 at all? Was there anything they can look to improve on from game 2?
You talking about Cyclone?
Dignitas.
Oh, Dignitas. Well, they made the important switch by picking up the Bacchus really early on to make sure they didn't run into the same issue for BigManTingz, where he was forced into that blink play on the Ares. Whereas he went Bacchus, he had an early teamfight relic, and he was able to make the necessary plays because he was getting focused on a lot. And this is what allowed Dignitas to come back into the game because of the same style that Dignitas had onto Callus playing Bacchus in the first game.
Well, you mentioned Bacchus, you mentioned BigManTingz. He's actually on the line with us now. Big Man, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man.
Congratulations on your one win today. First of all, talk us through what went wrong in game one for you guys from your point of view.
I just don't think we got off to a good start, you know. We done some stuff around the speed buff on their jungle and kind of just made some mistakes in the comms, you know. And they got a 4-man pick, or they got 3 of us, and then we got the solo kill on Summer. So we got kind of a little bit down after that.
I can understand that. And game two, completely different story though. You seem to just let game one go, and then game two seem to find that synergy we've seen from Dignitas in the past.
Yeah, we just put that game behind us, and you know, we just went forwards. We're trying to play like we do in scrims, very aggressive, looking for them picks, making sure we don't get too tilted from being behind, so we can look for the ways to get back into the game. So game two was a lot different.
It seemed that the first game you guys weren't able to make the aggressive picks that you were talking about because you were the Ares with the blink. And early game, or I'm sorry, during picks and bans, you picked up the Ymir. Was that intended to kind of take it away from Deathwalker?
I think a little bit so. We can flex Ymir, obviously. It's a pretty good pick. We've got Frosty, who's an amazing Ymir player, as everyone knows, and I can play Ymir and so can Ducky, so it's kind of pretty good flex pick to have. And also Deathwalker's a pretty good Ymir as well, so it was kind of aimed at Deathwalker, but more so us, you know, as a team. It was very flexible and we could have placed it anywhere.
So for yourself as well, big man, we saw you on the Fnatic roster last split, this split on Dignitas. How are you finding things now in the Pro League after your second split here? How's the communication, the feel of being on Dignitas?
I think being on a team which is, you know, I went into Fnatic, a lot was expected from me, you know, such an amazing team with some really well-known players who, you know, performed really well at LANs in the past. And going to a more, you know, that mid-table team like Dignitas, where we can grow as a team and move forward upwards, you know, it's pretty good. It's been a bit different, but I like the feel of this new roster, and we're working well as a team. So.
And finally then, my last question for you, where do you expect you guys to end up at the end of the season?
I think we're looking for top 4. We're pretty confident in our ability to move forwards and try and get that top 4 ready for LAN.
Well, if you play the games as well as you did that second game, we'll see you actually in the top 4, I believe. Anyway, any shouts you want to give, big man, before we let you go?
Just shout out to Team Dignitas, they're amazing, and shout out to all the sponsors as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your split today. Dignitas climbed themselves to 4 points and Cyclone climbed themselves to 2 so far in only the first set. As you can see that on the graphs there, we've got a lot more games to come.
It's going to be Cringe Crew against Fantastic next, and the third set's going to be, they changed the same rosters but different organizations. Energy against Sanguine.
Energy now were known as Panthera and Sanguine were known as Leftovers. I said that wrong twice, but it's still correct. Overall, we've got a lot of more games for you guys, and we'll be back after the break with all those games. Enjoy the music.
World Championship, the journey that these teams took here was one for the ages.
It's been a crazy year, and it's all led to this. Teams across the globe will take to the battleground of the gods to fight not just for the prize money, but title of the best Smite team in the world.
Welcome to the Smite World Championship!
Because you are think you're going crazy? Look up, there's a new life waiting. Your head's buried in the sand. You've been dealt the wrong hand. Can't imagine how you feel. Only you know that.